Hi, Lowell here of the Never Too Late Academy and Pacific Solo. It was almost a year ago that I was asked a question by a gentleman called Kevin McAuliffe. I'd known Kevin for a number of years. In fact, he was one of the first visitors on my boat. He knew I lived my life outdoors on the boat. I also think he knew I was about to turn 70 as well, and he asked me this question: what is your daily skincare regime? I had never even heard the term before, let alone think about having a daily regime. I said, well, I shower every day. He began to talk to me about the importance of skin health. And he actually represents a line of products in Japan called Dermalogica. That's why they're sitting right here. And he and his resident expert, Ryosuke, designed a package of skincare products for me to see how I got on with them. And I actually began to not only appreciate the value of caring for my skin, but actually enjoying the daily regime and ritual of it as well. So a few weeks ago, I went into Dermalogica's office in Tokyo and asked Kevin and Ryosuke some questions about skin health, particularly for those of us getting older.
I think this is something, particularly for males, as we grow up. I grew up in Arizona, and we didn't really use suntan protection. We used suntan oil to get darker. Right. And so we grew up not really thinking that much about what the sun does to our skin and what other environmental factors do to our skin. So it's really more of a learning process when we bid for the business to get Dermalogica as our client in Japan. It was a learning exercise for me. And so I started studying for a little bit about skincare and just skin in general. Learned that the skin is our largest organ, and that it is, as we age, the skin naturally thins and it loses some of its collagen and elastin, and it generally gets weaker and weaker. And there are other issues about the skin, and that the skin dies a little bit, and you have issues about possible inflammation that can occur that can affect other parts of your body. And so it made me think that maybe we need to start taking care. I need to start taking care of my skin. So Dermalogica has great teachers. Ours in Japan is Ryosuke. He's an expert in skin care, and he's done a lot of study into what works and what doesn't work and why you should do different things. And of course, the Dermalogica has a history of looking at skin care from a point of view of health, right, not beauty. I think a lot of skin products are brought to you as it'll make you more beautiful. And I personally think that a healthy skin is beautiful. But we don't try to sell the product on beauty. We promote the product in skin health and how it can help you. So it's just been a learning process for me. And as you said, it's not something that I was doing. I was washing my face, but whether it was soap I had in the bathroom soap or whatever I was using, I didn't put anything on afterwards, any kind of moisturizer or other kinds of products. So I started noticing that the older you get some dry spots and drier skin and maybe pigmentation and other things that can happen as you age. Right. So just learning how to deal with that and you're going to age, so age gracefully, probably the best word for it. Well, I think if you want true expertise, I think Ryosuke will give you a much better explanation than I can. But I think it falls into sort of three main areas, I think. I think initially it's cleansing. Right. We don't realize that our skin is dying every day. There's bits of your skin sort of dies and eventually it comes off. There are environmental pollutants when you're out. There's things that get onto your skin, and there's all kinds of environmental factors that affect your skin. So just cleansing your skin, both in the morning when you wake up, but also in the end of the day, are really important. Personally, I think the end of the day is probably the most critical one, right, because you'll certainly run into issues overnight too. Some of us perspire, some of us, we have pillows, we don't wash our pillows every day, And so what's ever on the pillow is coming back on our face and things like that. So there's reasons to do in the morning as well, but particularly in the evening, we've been out all day, either in office environments or outside, and what collects on our face, just like what collects on our bodies, it should be removed, but with the right kind of cleanser. So not a cleanser that's too harsh that takes away everything, the positive things in your skin, but basically gets rid of the pollutants, and can then prepare your skin for another next step. And a next step that we often talk about is exfoliation, which sort of does an additional job of removing removing the dead skin and things like that. So I think that's cleansing is very important. I think exfoliation is also very important, but I think it depends on the individual how often you do that.
Right.
And so those would be the two. And there's one other factor that I don't tend to use because I don't wear makeup, but sometimes using pre-cleanse, which is an oil base, is also important, particularly if you've got any kind of makeup or other things on, like you put SPF on, for example. It does a better job of taking that off, removing it from your skin, and then using the cleanser and the exfoliation. And then after you've done that, I think naturally as you get older, moisturizers are very important. And I know that one of your favorites is the spray that you have on to sort of add a bit of water to your face and things like that. So I think those would be sort of the main areas that I would focus on. And then there are additional ones, there's serums and things like that dealing more specifically with problems. And of course, everyone's skin is different. Some people have skin that is robust and you can do almost anything with it. It doesn't seem to have an effect. Some are very, very sensitive. Just a little bit of washing too much gets it red and you see redness afterwards. So it really depends on the individual. And this is one of the reasons that Dermalogica has so many products, because they're really designed for different skin conditions. And so you do certain things for certain kind of skin conditions. And this is why you need someone very knowledgeable to help sort of guide someone through, what are your concerns about your skin? What are you concerned about? Pigmentation, about redness, about wrinkles, about dryness, and depending on what those are, there's certain products that should help in alleviating some of those conditions.
Right.
He said the skin is the biggest organ in the human body, so the main thing that we have to do is sustain its function as a body, as a skin organ. So we need to firstly sustain the metabolism of the skin. So as you age, the metabolism is usually the 30-day cycle around my age, 30 years old, but it gets delayed when you age. So in order to make them get younger, you need to exfoliate your skin by using daily microfluoride. So by doing so, your metabolism is become 30 days, which means you can protect from the outside the bad things, and you can sustain your moisturized skin so it looks glowing, and also you can sustain your skin's metabolism, the main function of the skin.
Is that we're really trying to make skin health as the key issue. Right. It's also a professional brand, so that as a consumer product, it's fairly new.
Right.
It's been around as a professional product for many years, and it's I mean a professional product. I mean it was only available at salons or aesthetic salons or professional skin therapists, or more recently med spas, where a doctor or a person that's been trained in skincare actually helped you with choosing your product, and also teaching you how to use it, and also doing certain kinds of facials and other kinds of conditions, other kinds of treatments, and that's where the product started. And then more recently, they decided, well, they should also sell to the end consumer directly, not just through the salons. And that's where we came in, basically.
And if you're interested in ordering Dermalogica products, I put a link in the description. If you use that link, you'll get 10% off your order. Remember, it's never too late. Take care of yourself.